Hello my dear viewers! Today we'll have an example of why we shouldn't mix the game with life outside of it, and what happens when in-game flirting goes too far.
Respect goes both ways. Hey guys, I'm actually fairly disheartened that I find myself back here with a post to vent. It is the story of Cat, not her real name, and it's likely to be the worst encounter I have yet to have. A few things I must note before the story begins. For a man, I have a tendency to be fairly feminine, both in mannerism and sometimes in appearance. Makeup can do wonders. As well as fairly tall. Keep in mind, it will be important for the story. Now for the cast. We have me, Rago the Barbarian Goliath, Cat, the problem player, an elf bard, the DM, and our other two members who, while having less interaction in the story, I feel are just as important as the rest of the party, who I will call Jack and Dean, an Orc Paladin and a Human Cleric respectively. So, it starts off with all of us joining a game with a DM on Roll20 from a roleplay place I go to quite often for board games. Jack and Dean know each other beforehand, while the rest of us were strangers. We might have had some correspondence before, but if so, I don't remember. We all met in the DM's home, where we started writing down our characters. I have most of my characters written down on my laptop, as I have a hobby of making characters and then playing them out to flesh them out more. This helps me a lot in how I might play them later at other D&D games personality-wise. Not much of our backstories are important for the plot except one little bit. My character is married. So, session 1 plays out. Then session 2 and 3. No major red flags yet, aside from a bit of staring from Cat and a fair amount of RP between our characters. The problem started and ended with the 4th session. Her and I had gone out shopping for provisions. Well, I was out for a new weapon, as a nat 1 on a Berserker Rage and Reckless Blow lead to my maul snapping, and her joining me for provisions. I had gotten myself a fine new 2-handed Warhammer. Big catch there! Cat then announced, I move over to Ragu and wrap my arms with his. Now, I will mention that I actually don't usually mind romance in D&D games. Honestly, I think it can be fun in moderation. But again, Ragu is married. Happily so, in fact. So, I say that push her off and show my hand with the gold ring on it. Why do you push me off? This caught me off guard, as I thought the ring was evidence enough. He's married, I answered. I shit you not. Those were the next words that came out of her mouth. Oh, come on. He'd be much better on turning into a woman and being my girlfriend. I stared at her, and then looked at the DM and back at her. I was dumbfounded. That's not going to happen, was my response to it. Why? She chimed, seeming a little aggressive with my unwillingness. He's a man, a very happy husband and prideful man. There could be potions to make him into a woman, I'm sure of it. At this point, I had clocked out from that weird conversation and just wanted to continue. The DM must have noticed and turned the whole play over the group that was on the camp. Later on, in that session, we were taking a long rest and Jack taking first night watch. During that time, Cat pasted a note to the DM. The DM replied with, Are you sure? Those infamous words. She nodded, and the DM asked me to make a perception check. I rolled an 18, and she explained how, amidst my sleep, I suddenly felt some soft weight upon me, and which I immediately tossed off me. It turned out to be, you guessed it, Cat. Not just that, but she was nude. Oh, big boy wants to play rough? I did not reciprocate. Being who he was, he lifted her up under the armpits, walked out of his tent and over in front of hers, and plotted her there, glaring. I felt like this was the most non-violent way my character could show a no in this situation. I sat and joined Night Watch from that moment through the night, just in case she tried to pull that again. Last but not least, the final straw. We were all just looking through a brush of a forest, with a big and grumpy me in the front. Cat once more approached me with, "Please hold me, I'm scared." I say I push her off. She clings again. I push her off once more. I don't remember how many times she did it, but at least 5 times on that walk. I glared at her out of the game, and after the last one I coldly asked the DM if PvP was okay. And she said yes. So in character, I said, "If you try to touch me one more time, I will not be as nice as I have been." This, in my opinion, was an obvious threat from an angry, tall, lawful evil, Goliath barbarian. She, for who knows whichever reason, did it again. So I punched her in game. She responded tersely, "What the hell is your problem with me?" Which I shouted back, "What is your problem?" She sputtered back with a, "You can't hit a woman, that's sexist." Well, I think that's quite the opposite. You say I did something wrong? Your character literally tried to sexually assault mine and has been harassing me this entire session. Have you no respect for a no, nor the fact he's married? "You're disrespecting my sexuality," came out of her mouth. I believe that anyone can love anyone and be with anyone, as long as it is above the age of consent and not a violent one. So I barked back with, "And you're disrespecting my consent." I turned to the GM and said that Ragu, clenched and bloody fist, leaves back in the direction we came from. I did not respond to anything Kat said from that moment on and until the session ended. The DM sent a text during and asked if Ragu was following them. "No," came out from me. I had made up my mind. So after the session, and we all went home, I texted the DM back and said I was quitting the game. She was pretty respectful and mentioned that apparently Kat had a crush on me. So the final message between us went as follows. Then she went about it the completely wrong way. It might have happened if she came to me outside of the game. Heck, the in-game romance might have as well. But one should not pursue outside romance by doing it in-game. This is a mindset I picked up from Den of the Drake. Great channel. Aided by the fact that I myself came into D&D first time with the same maybe a girlfriend over this mentality. I think I did things pretty well, but I don't know if I could have done better. I'd love to hear your guys' criticism and opinion. Thank you. TLDR. A girl suddenly starts flirting with my married character in a weird attempt to flirt with me. The end. I personally think that in-game romance can be pretty fun. If you're going to do it, just ask for permission first. Go to the other person out of the game and ask, "Are you okay with romance?" This will prepare the person mentally for this, if they think it's okay, and they will say if it's not. It's not that hard just to communicate things outside of the game. Well, that's just my opinion. And you, do you think OP made a good decision leaving the game? Comment what you think and I'll read it. I think that's it for today. Thank you for listening till here, and goodbye. Hey guys, I'm actually fairly disheartened that I find myself back here with a post to vent.